And here we go. Randomized order for your viewing pleasure. Virtual private networks. The first question starts in a few seconds. It is simply this. What is used to dynamically generate shared IPsec keys? And Obey Alatar, 2 a.m. in Malaysia. Have to work in the morning, but I'm all in. Oh man, that's so great. I am so proud. Thanks for sharing this time with us. All right, Diffie-Hellman. Now, if you're brand new to IPsec, that's cool. I mean, it totally is cool because no one's born knowing any of this information. So I was looking at the blueprint. I tucked it away for organization, but the blueprint says we should be able to describe IPsec and, well, I'm not going to give that away. That's a question coming up. We should be able to describe remote access and site-to-site VPNs. And so a big part of IPsec virtual private networks, think of IPsec like, I want to protect what? IPsec for security. So when you think IPsec, think of it, hey, this is a suite of protocols used to protect IP packets in certain ways with certain protocols. And one of the things that's amazing with IPsec is that you and I, we can be in different parts of the world. And if we're running an IPsec virtual private network between us, it'll go ahead and allow us to negotiate think of the keys, like the keys you'd use to lock and unlock the data. And we can dynamically negotiate those with IPsec with a protocol, a set of rules that was written by these two guys. Their last names were Diffie and Hellman decades ago. So the Diffie-Hellman algorithm is used to generate shared secret keys, like the secrets that are going to be used to lock and unlock the data. And all right, I saw some flurry on the comments like, am I muted? No, it's all good. All right, so Diffie-Hellman. So one more. Put that in our tool belt as far as knowledge, and let's move forward. Here's the next question. It is simply this, question 2 of 9, worth double points. Which unused subnet can be assigned to a new remote access VPN connections? So let me give you a little heads up on this. With remote access VPNs, one option is we can dynamically hand out IP addresses to clients when they connect. So when they connect, it's like they have their own IP address on our internal networks. So if we are going to set that up, based on this topology, which unused, that's the keyword, which currently unused subnet can be assigned for handing out the addresses to new remote access, that's what RA is, VPN connections like Jim's PC. And as the clock ticks on, I'm going to share with you that there is a correct answer on the screen. So the blue answer is not accurate. If you already guessed blue, I'm sorry. But it's red, yellow, or green. One of those three is the correct answer. If you already if you already voted for blue, I'm sorry. Kelvin, I love it. Kelvin is saying, I can tell you that the answer is a color. I'd also like to thank Kelvin for taking some time out of his day earlier and walking through these with me to help proof them, catching little nuances or issues that make them better for you. So Kelvin, thank you very much for your great service, both here and on Discord. All right, right, which unused subnet can be assigned to a new remote access VPN connection? 39 of you nailed it, and that means, well, about half of you nailed it if we do the quick math there. So if we look at this, this is really a question about IP addressing. And is it fair? You know, it's not fair. Networks are never just one thing. They're always a combination of protocols, like the TCP/IP protocol suite with frames and packets going through a network, sometimes being forwarded by switches at layer 2, sometimes being forwarded by routers at layer 3. Sometimes we have virtual private networks that manipulate the data. So this is really a question about, if we're setting this up, which of those subnets could we use that are currently not used? So if you are new to IP addressing, you're new to subnetting, welcome aboard, because I got a whole playlist. It's called Subnet Saturdays. It's 12 videos long. On my channel, it's a free playlist, and you can go from 0 to hero with IP addressing and subnetting and be able to answer questions like this, like with almost a quick glance, by going through this. So if you don't know it yet, make a note. Also, if you're getting ready for your CCNA exam, you may want to take a look at these quiz questions and say, oh, okay, I need to brush up on this, and the other. Because here's the deal. Right now, I'm working on a new course at CBT Nuggets as part of the CCNP track. I'm creating a course. And I'm leveraging a ton of basic fundamentals that I learned a long, long time ago, and I'm just kicking it up a notch. And that's how it is with networks. Take what you know, get a little better, learn a little more, and then apply it going forward. All right, so going back to this, let me move my pen out of the way. The unused subnet was 10.1.0, and the block size there is 32. And so the subnets would be 0, 32, 64, 96. And if you've gone through Subnet Saturdays, that would be pretty easy to go ahead and do. All right, so I threw a little subnetting in there because networking is a complex bag. At the top of the heap, we've got Great Macaw with 2,633 points. If that's you, congratulations. And if you're Radiant Dingo, Polite Iguana, Brave Elbex, I don't know what an Elbex is, or Proud Lemur, congratulations to all of you, and congratulations to everybody who's participating today. Here's our question number 3 regarding protecting IP packets as they're coursing through a network. And this question is, what are the 2 main methods to protect RA? That's an acronym for remote access, like Jim's PC here. What are the 2 main methods to protect remote access VPNs? Oh, Kelvin, thank you for the pronunciation of Ibex. Thank you. And if you're pumping answers into the comments and want to join, it's not too late. The join code is in the bottom right-hand corner, and you can join from a website or from an app. I'd love to have you participate. Oh, Mahai still on it. The Ibex is kind of like an antelope. Fantastic. Thank you. It's an educational day for everybody. All right, the 2 main ways of protecting remote access VPNs are using SSL/TLS, which is built into most operating systems. Most computers today have that. If we go to a website, let's bring a pen out. If you and I are here and we're going up to a banking website and we're using HTTPS, behind the scenes, what we're actually using is TLS, Transport Layer Security, or its predecessor, SSL, Netscape, thank you. So those 2 represent encrypting traffic going to like a web page. But that same technology can be used for remote access VPNs as well. So that's why this answer is correct. And IPsec is a suite of protocols that is used to protect IP packets. And so we have some more questions coming up specifically about IPsec, but those are the 2 main methods for protecting packets as they're going over an untrusted network, such as the internet, would be IPsec and the SSL/TLS flavor of all that. All right, here we go. Also, if you have questions regarding any of these quiz questions or anything else, if you're studying for CCNA, please join me in the instructor hour. It's on every Saturday, 10 a.m. Yesterday was great. Yesterday, I had some insights. I had somebody asking me, but we had like maybe 15 people there. So it was very intimate. People were asking questions like broadcast, multicast, network types for OSPF, DR election, router ID selection. And it was great to get those questions and just piece them through. Okay, this is one section. Here's how that works. Reinforce it. Then how do we, elect a designated router who does it based on priority and then router ID. And it's great. So if you are studying and want to clarify something, the instructor hour at 10 a.m. Pacific every Saturday is for you. So bring your questions, including questions to any of these. So here's a tip. If you're brand new to a topic, you might want to study it first, research it, read it, watch some videos. And then if you have questions about it for clarification, bring them to me. And I will always tell you what I believe to be accurate information about how those protocols really work. All right, going back to the quiz, here we go. Silver Egret is on top, and Proud Lemur, Brave Bex, Ibex. Oh my gosh, I have to research that. Sounds interesting. All right, here's question 4 of 9. It's multiple select. What are other names for the IKE version 1 phase 2 tunnel? Oh, and the 999J Strict is asking, Keith, what does your shirt say? I'll share that with you right after this question. Thanks for the question. I'm thinking about getting this Kahoot music as my ringtone. All right, what are the other names for the IKEVI phase 2 tunnel? Wow, that's a mouthful right there. So we should talk about this just for a moment. So let's say we have a couple locations. Let's say I have Site 1 over here on the left and Site 2 over here on the right. And in between them, there's this network that we don't trust. Now, which networks do we not trust? Well, certainly the internet. And certainly any other networks that we don't manage, and also even networks that we do manage, how do we know there's not an attacker on that network who could be trying to eavesdrop on other things? So if we're trying to protect traffic, we could build a tunnel. Let me change my colors here for a moment. Actually, forget the color change because it's on the other screen, but we could build a tunnel from here over to here, and here's what would logically happen. If this was router 1 at Site 1 and router 2 at Site 2, they would take traffic from users who would forward it to the router, and the router would say, oh, this traffic is destined for this remote network over here. What I will do is I will take that packet, says router 1, and I will mash it up and encrypt it and make it all the contents so that nobody else can read it unless you have the right keys to unlock the data. So it locks the data and then ships it over to the IP address of R2. So the internet would just say, wow, here's a packet, if they're eavesdropping, here's a packet from this router's address to this router's address, and the contents are mostly encrypted content. I can't make sense of it. That's how we keep our data safe. And then R2 would receive that packet, decrypt it, and then forward it on its way. So along this journey, we're protecting the traffic. Now, with IKEVI, which is the Internet Key Exchange version 1 and part of IPsec, there are 2 phases. Not like Star Trek phasers, but 2 phases. And these 2 phases are IKE phase 1. And for IKE phase 1, think of it, and I am going to change my pen color just for a moment. Let me bring this over here. I put it over here. It won't be too offensive. All right. For IKE phase 1, think of it like R1 and R2. They want to have a private conversation with each other. Like, just like, how you doing, R1? How you doing, R2? Hey, do you want to blah, blah, blah? So they can have their own private tunnel. A tunnel is a fancy word for saying a logical path, and that they can protect that traffic. And this is called the IKE phase 1 tunnel. And it's really just for traffic between the 2 endpoints of the VPN. So they can talk to each other. They can change protocols if they need to. They can do keep alive and everything else across this IKE phase 1 tunnel. But what they do is they create this IKE phase 1 tunnel, and then they use that tunnel to negotiate a second tunnel. Wait, Keith, you're saying there's another tunnel? Yes. So this is the IKE phase 1 tunnel, and this is the IKE phase 2 tunnel. And this IKE phase 2 tunnel has a couple of names. It's called the IPsec tunnel, And this is why it's good to study it, read up on it, and then go to the instructor hour with me and get some clarification. With OSPF and the discussion we had yesterday, oh my gosh, so great that we could clarify some of it. So router 1 and router 2 are going to build 2 tunnels. Also, these are also referred to as security associations, an agreement between them. IKE phase 1 and IKE phase 2. If they need to talk to each other and share data and change protocols and things like that, they can use the IKE phase 1 tunnel. And the actual traffic that's encrypted for the user, like Bob, who's going over to Lois, over here, for encrypting the user traffic, it's going to use the IPsec tunnel. So this IKE, what's the question here? What are the other names for the IKE V1 phase 2 tunnel? Okay, so this phase 2 tunnel could be called the IPsec Security Association for IPsec, and it can be called the IPsec tunnel. Those are the 2 correct answers. Now, is that going to really solve your world's problems in life? The answer is no. That is something to be aware of, and I'll tell you why it's super helpful. It's super helpful because when we're working with multiple vendors and protocols, understanding, like you call it potato, I call it potato, understanding if somebody says, oh, the IPsec SA or the IPsec tunnel. See, when you're studying CCNA, I'll be quick here. When you're studying CCNA, we're learning about at layer 2, you call that thing a frame. And at layer 3, you call that thing a packet. And at layer 4, you call it a segment. Not really. You won't hear too many people talking about TCP traffic as segments. But it's good for learning because we can compartmentalize that stuff and have a better understanding of it. So when we're dealing with IPsec, with IKE version 1, it has 2 phases. The IKE phase 1 tunnel, also called the ISACEMP SA, Security Association, or IKE phase 1 tunnel, and then the actual IPsec tunnel, which is also referred to as the IKE, or the IPsec SA, the Security Association. So if this is your first exposure to that, it's not enough to like, oh, I get it. But it's important as you look at it and you start reading, you can realize, oh, that's what they mean. Also, when people use the terms like kind of loosely, you can still get an idea of what they mean, even if they're not literally correct. All right, so there's my soapbox. I will get off of that for a moment here. And let's, stop the truck. I've also, I'm replacing a couple videos from the CCNA playlist. It has like 120 videos up there on YouTube, but some of the videos I'm replacing are IPsec VPN videos. So I'm going to create a small handful, of videos for IPsec just to give you a framework for it. And that way, if you're going to a job interview or you're in an environment where they have IPsec VPNs or SSL VPNs, site-to-site, remote access, DMVPN, GetVPN, Flex VPN, you can be aware of what those are and what they mean. And then as you get into the professional level content like SCORE and other things in CCIE land, we'll take a look at how to configure those. But it's important to be aware of them because VPNs are not going away. Also, a lot of home users are using VPNs. Guess what? IPsec or SSL, those are the 2 types, to help protect themselves. So if we build a VPN from us to some other server, and then from that server out to another server, and then from that server out to another server, we're doing anonymity. We're hiding ourselves regarding our real IP address because it changes each of those hops, and all the traffic is encrypted and all the rest. So the basic concepts of VPNs are fantastic. And as you learn them, and then you learn how you apply them in other situations like hiding yourself on the internet with being anonymous. Okay, that's not our intent here. Our intent is to understand how they work and some of the terms. But I wanted to point it out that this information is useful, not just for Cisco. It's important for so many things these days with privacy and the lack of privacy. All right, Excited Cat is on top of the heap. Congratulations to you. We have question 5 of 9, which is this. Which of the following has 2 distinct phases? Oh my gosh, if you were just listening, you've got this. Maybe. All right, it is IKE version 1 that has the 2 phases. That's what I was talking about in the previous video. And there is a thing called IKE version 2, which I'm going to leave alone for this CCNA discussion, which is more interoperable with other vendors and things. But IKE v1 has 2 phases. I got to tell you what I did on this question too. when I was putting this question together and I was putting it into Kahoot, which of the following has two distinct phases? I copy pasted from my master document into Kahoot. Then I went through the answers, pasted those in. I clicked on IKEV2 because it had two in the answer. It's like, no. IKEV2 doesn't have two specific phases. Ike version 1 has the two phases, phase 1 and phase 2. All right, so I had to double check myself before I pushed it out. Okay. Keith, that's your problem. Yes, it is. All right, Genius Finch is at the top. And again, join me for the new series coming up for IPsec and SSL VPNs on YouTube. I'll be building that at least one video a week for the next 3 or 4 weeks. So what are the two main methods used for site-to-site VPN authentication? So Ibrahim is saying, what about Ike version 2? It has two phases. I'll address that. Oh, I'll also show my shirt after this question. And if you haven't answered already, too late for a tip. All right, pre-shared keys and RSA signatures, which are involving digital certificates, are the two main methods for authenticating site-to-site VPN tunnels. Because you want to prove who you're talking with and not just connect to anybody. So we want to authenticate, a fancy word for saying, make them prove who they are before we agree to build all these tunnels with them. Okay, so first of all, the shirt. So I moved my feedback monitor down here to make sure I'm on the right screen. So what part of that, there we go, don't you understand? Fun shirt. All right, then the other question was about phases. Doesn't Ike version 2 have two phases? And the answer is no. They're not called phases. In Ike version 2, there is an Ike version 2 security association, but it's not called Ike phase 1. And there's also an IPsec security association, but it's not called Ike phase 2. So anytime you hear the word phases, like IPsec, cryptography, the phases, that's referring to Ike version 1. If it's Ike version 2, then just be prepared for 4 times the amount of configuration, even with smart templates and smart defaults, and also an IKEV2 security association and an IPsec security association called exactly what they are. But that's not, the Ike version 2 stuff won't be on your CCNA, just a heads up for based on that question. All right. Moving forward, we're almost done here. Genius Finch is still in the lead, and we have 3 more questions here, 7 of 9, multiple select. What is used to encrypt end-to-end IP packets in an IPsec site-to-site virtual private network? I'm looking for 2 answers. Oh, we've covered this. All right, Joseph Morin is taking exam at 2 p.m. tomorrow. What I would recommend, Joseph, is take a peek at the playlist for the quiz questions. Just scrub through them. Make sure you're comfortable with those topics. And then go crush that exam and move to your next one. There's a lot of great questions in the queue. I'm going to invite you to bring those to the instructor hour on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific. And I might take a couple here before we close today as well. Boom! All right. And the reason that yellow and green, some people are colorblind. So the reason the bottom 2 answers are correct is because those are just terms for the Ike version 1 IPsec tunnel. It's called the Ike V1 phase 2 tunnel, or the IPsec tunnel, also sometimes called the IPsec Security Association. And there we go. Diffie-Hellman is used to negotiate keys. And Ike phase 1 is the private party channel between 2 VPN peers that are using IPsec. and Ike version 1. All right. We're almost done here. Got 2 more. And here is the second to the last question. What type of interface? Oh, this is tricky. This is tricky. There'd be no reason you'd know this unless you studied. So what type of interface is considered to be a virtual tunnel interface? If you don't know, I will rule out a couple answers here in a moment for you. So if you know, vote early, get the points. If you don't know, hang on, I'll give you a clue. It is not the bottom right-hand answer on the screen. It's not the bottom right-hand. It's not any interface using Ike version 2. Ike version 2 is not the reason a tunnel interface is a VTI. Yeah, Paul, I hear you, man. Totally guessing at this point, and that's cool. If it's brand new, that's what we do to start. Wow, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So in the old days, we used crypto maps. And in the VPN series that I'm going to put on YouTube, I'll walk you through that history briefly. And a better way of doing it is to create a tunnel interface, like interface tunnel 0. And then that uses GRE by default. And then you can just use an IPsec profile on top of that to use IPsec to protect it. And that's now called a virtual tunnel interface. You can also have templates for virtual tunnel interfaces, and it can just, like a head-end device, it could just have 100 users all connect, and it could spin off as many virtual template or virtual tunnel interfaces as it needs dynamically. So, wow, I'm very impressed. That's great. A lot of you got it right. I was not expecting that. My congrats to everybody. Okay, Genius Finch is still on top. We've got one last question. See if we can upset that person. Bob's remote access VPN connection is authenticated with a local password. Where is that local password configured? All right, blue is the correct answer on the router. That is one of the items on the CCNA exam outline. I call the exam outline the blueprint from Cisco for the CCNA, and it definitely talks about local, control with passwords, and it talks about VPNs, and it talks about AAA and some basic stuff. So if we're using a local password, that's referring to the router itself having it in the running config. Oh, that's not going to help. Look at this graphic. All right, so local always refers to local, and let's go ahead and take a look at the winners list. You're all winners. I appreciate you being here. Step by step. When I learn new things, it takes a while. I mean, I got to hit it for the first time, feel a little frustrated, and then just keep on learning. And every day I get a little better at whatever that topic is, and pretty soon I'm teaching this stuff. And then you move on to the next piece. All right. So congratulations to everybody who has participated. I would love some feedback as well. So if you would, go ahead and let me click on, look at these, 33% correct. So we have a little work to do. Let me go ahead and get the feedback. If you would, just go ahead and provide that feedback. That's helpful for me as far as, do you want to keep these quizzes going, and what do I need to focus on, or what would you like to see? And I'd also like to remind you, if you have any questions that you'd like to bring to me, to the instructor hour. It's on Discord. It is free. There's a room for, it's called the Keith Barker Instructor Hour. It's every Saturday Pacific time, 10 a.m., 10 to 11 sharp, 1 hour. And then I have other things I need to do. But I want to give the opportunity. If you want to talk to a double CCIE who really has a passion for helping people get their CCNAs as a starting point, and then, don't get me wrong, my objective is to have you keep going. But come and see me. So the goal is to focus on CCNA level studies. If you're like, how does this work? Yesterday was enlightening for me. I loved it. I had some great questions. We were able to whiteboard it. Not only did we whiteboard it, but we also brought up emulations. We brought up packet tracer. We did some demonstrations to verify that what we thought would happen. I had several moderators that were in the room, and some admins as well on Discord who joined. So I'm very, very grateful. So thank you, everybody. And if you'd like, let me see if there's any questions that are relevant that I can bring up right now. There were several great ones that went by. I answered a few of those. So let's do this. Next Sunday, we'll have another quiz. I'll pick a topic between now and then. I'll post it on social so we can have it. If you're taking your exam, like somebody has 2:00 p.m. tomorrow, a local time for whatever that is for you, take a look at the quiz playlist here on YouTube, my quiz playlist, and there's like 20. So go to the topics, just take a few samples, make sure you're understanding those topics and you can answer those questions. You know why the answer is correct, and have some fun. Instructor hours are at 10 a.m. Pacific time. If you haven't already done so, please click on subscribe so you can find me. One thing I've discovered is that as I've been working on the studio and I'm working on some other projects as well, I'm leveraging YouTube quite a bit these days. And sometimes like, oh, who is that guy? Or so if I click on subscribe, it gives me the opportunity later to go back in and find that person more easily. So I'm going to be a great resource here on this channel. If you have questions about, like, I'm studying this, I'm studying that, I want to go a little bit deeper or have, get some more insight on it, please use this as a resource with whatever you're using for your main course of study. And thank you very much for the feedback, very kind words. So I'm going to go ahead and send you out with some fun music. Meanwhile, be nice to other people. Take advantage of the time you have to study. It's a little additional work. It might not be easy, but let me tell you, it's worth it. It's worth it, and you can do it, and I think I can help. So I'll catch you in the next live event or the next video. Be well, everybody. Bye-bye.